If you think the all-new mini hatch looks remarkably like the previous one, then you're not alone, although this one is completely new from the ground up. Larger but still many bigger in every external direction, the new 3-door hatch will spawn a wide variety of models, including replacements for the current derivatives with the addition of a 5-door hatchback. At 3,821mm long, it's 98mm longer. The Cooper S is 3,850mm long, 44mm wider and 7mm taller than the outgoing hatch. Overall interior space is more generous than before too, but those in the back might be hard-pressed to tell. Despite the increased size, it's still recognizably mini with a familiar shape to the grille, headlights, floating roof and rear lights, although those are much wider than previous incarnations. If anything, it looks sportier in profile. The roofline tapers more aggressively towards the rear. New technology inside. The central instrument binnacle no longer contains the speedometer, but instead the infotainment system's details, with the speedo located behind the steering wheel next to the rev counter. The central display now has a multicolored LED surround to it which illuminates differently depending on the car's settings, such as how close the parking sensors detect an obstacle is to the car. 5-door version available for the first time. A 5-door, 4 doors and a hatchback tailgate version of the mini hatchback has been made available, joining the range in October 2014. Previously the mini hatch was 3-door only. You get the same choice of engines and equipment grades whether you pick a 3 or 5-door car. Efficient, turbocharged engines. 3 tiers of minis are available from launch. 1. Cooper and Cooper S. Available with a range of turbocharged petrol and diesel engines, the latter identified with a D suffix. 1 and 1D models are fitted with 3-cylinder 1.2-litre motors producing 101 bhp and 94 bhp respectively. The 1D is the most efficient too, with a claimed 83.1 miles per gallon and just 89 gkm of CO2. Move to the Cooper and Cooper D versions, which Mini expects to account for a combined 48% of new hatch sales, and the 3-cylinder motors are of 1.5-litre capacity. The Cooper produces 134 bhp, the Cooper D 114 bhp. Topping the range from launch is the 4-cylinder, 2.0-litre petrol Cooper S, offering significantly greater performance with 189 bhp available, giving a sprint to 62 miles per hour time of 6.8 seconds. An automatic transmission is available on all but the 1D, and all mini hatches come with a 6-speed manual transmission as standard. Sporty and premium small hatchback prices have climbed marginally for the new mini hatch range, but don't forget this is a premium product. The entry-level mini hatch 1 costs from £13,750, and being part of the BMW empire, it's no surprise that there's a wealth of expensively priced options too. This all-new model is available to order now. Read on for the Parker's full mini hatch review. Performance. Due to advances in turbocharging technology, mini hatch performance is improved. Model 4 model over the outgoing range. Petrol engine range. Choose the petrol engine one, and the entry-level mini hatch has a 1.2-litre 3-cylinder engine with 101 bhp and 180 Nm of torque, available from 1,400 revolutions per minute. It's a sprightly performer, topping 121 miles per hour and reaching 62 miles per hour in 9.9 seconds. Efficiency isn't compromised though, with a claimed average fuel consumption of 61.4 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions of 108 gkm. Opt for the Cooper, with its 134 bhp 1.5-litre motor, and you'll find a capable, sporty performer. with 220 Newton-meters of torque from just 1,250 revolutions per minute. It'll sprint from 0 to miles per hour in just 7.9 seconds before going on to a top speed of 130 miles per hour. Remarkably, it's more efficient than the one, with claims of 62.8 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions of 105 gkm. Topping the range is the 4-cylinder, 2.0-litre Cooper S, packing 189 bhp and 280 Newton-meters at 1,250 revolutions per minute into a small car is always going to produce rapid results, accelerating from 0 to miles per hour in 6.8 seconds before achieving a top speed of 146 miles per hour confirms this, and it feels eager on the road too. Positively, efficiency doesn't suffer chronically in the process, Mini claiming the Cooper S will achieve 49.6 miles per gallon with emissions of 133 gkm. Diesel derivatives. Initially you'll only be able to have a diesel engine one or Cooper, their engines matching the petrol versions in size and cylinder count. With 94 bhp but 220 Newton-meters of torque from 1,750 revolutions per minute, the 1.2-litre 1D is the slowest but most efficient member of the Mini hatch range. Although an 11-second 0.62 miles per hour time sounds a little pedestrian, it's likely to suit many, and its 118 miles per hour top speed is essentially academic anyway. What impresses more is the 1D's claim of 83.1 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions of just 89 gkm. The 1.5-litre Cooper D is arguably the pick of the range at launch. Its refined and flexible power plant delivers 114 bhp and 270 Newton-meters of torque at 1,750 revolutions per minute, meaning it'll complete the 0.62 miles per hour test in 9.2 seconds with a top speed of 127 miles per hour. Despite this real-world pace, Mini claims the Cooper D will still achieve 80.7 miles per gallon with CO2 emissions of just 92 gkm. All Minis are fitted as standard with a 6-speed manual gearbox, which automatically blips the throttle on downshifts. Automatic transmission is optionally available on all versions except the 1D. On the Cooper S, a sports automatic gearbox is offered, providing quicker changes between the 6 ratios and further involvement with paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. Handling. A significant selling point for the car is how well Mini hatch handling compares to both the competition and the model it replaces. There's no doubt the new car still handles well, but equally there's no escaping the fact it's matured too, with greater evidence of comfort and refinement than previous iterations of the new Mini. It's not bad, just different. Part of the reason is the Mini's expanded size. As well as a 28mm stretch in the wheelbase, the tracks. The width between the wheels on either side of the car have also been increased by 42mm at the front and 34mm at the rear. Consequently, it feels more stable, especially on motorway jaunts. Mini has fitted the latest hatch with lighter and revised suspension, which it says promotes both agility and responsiveness. It remains nimble and accurate, yet also more refined than the outgoing hatch range. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. The ride comfort, especially on smaller wheels, is less harsh, while on larger rims up to 18 inches it's noticeably firmer without feeling like it crashes over every bump and undulation. Drive the Cooper S and those sensations are amplified further. It's noticeably firmer than the mid-spec Cooper, but again feels like a larger, better engineered sports hatchback rather than a light and chuckable Mini of old. Some may lament the steering though. It's still sharply accurate, and when switching off the traction control, the Mini remains very precise in its cornering, gripping with impressive tenacity. But although the steering weights up progressively, it's not as communicative as enthusiastic drivers may hope for. These things are relative, of course. The Mini Hatch's steering is impressively engineered and it puts many other sporty hatchbacks to shame, but it's true that others offer a greater degree of feel. With a twinge of self-deprecating humor, the optional adjustable driving modes make reference to the Mini's fabled go-kart-like agility. 3 modes are available: Green, which promotes fuel efficiency and encourages early up changes; Mid, which is your everyday selection; and Sport for, and quoting the display itself, maximum go-kart feel. There's a noticeable change between the settings too, Sport providing decidedly more fun than the other settings. Equipment: 3 levels of specification make up the Mini Hatch range at launch: 1, Cooper and Cooper S. All the rivals are more generous in terms of standard kit. Standard Mini Hatch equipment: opt for the Mini 1 and your hatch will come with a keyless starting system, front fog lights, a trip computer, electric door mirrors, aircon, aux-in and USB sockets, and Bluetooth connectivity. One specification is identifiable with its black grille with horizontal slats. Progress to the Cooper, and visually it looks more traditional and sporty Mini, with its contrasting white or black roof and an aluminium version of the one's grille. Range-topping Cooper S benefits from additional chromework to the exterior, more aggressive grilles filled with a black mesh design, a bonnet scoop, centrally mounted twin exhaust pipes, sports front seats, and a 3-spoke sports steering wheel. Optional Mini Hatch accessories: personalization has been a Mini hallmark for a long time, and the new hatch range is no exception. White and black roofs are only the start, with a plethora of body graphics and roof decals to make your Mini your own. Further options include dual zone climate control, heated seats, glass roof, automatic lights and wipers, parking sensors, automatic parallel parking function, adaptive cruise control, and a Harman Kardon upgraded stereo system. LED headlights, including the day-running lighting, are optional too, supplementing standard LED lights at the back. The head-up display HUD projects details such as speed, cruise control information, and sat-nav directions onto a clear panel at the base of the windscreen ahead of the driver. It's similar to systems featured in larger BMWs, but due to the angle of the Mini's windscreen it has to use the transparent plastic plinth rather than reflecting onto the screen itself. Mini Connected now works with Android as well as Apple smartphones and allows connectivity to various apps, including social media functions as well as streaming audio if you don't want to take advantage of the 20 GB built-in hard drive. Automatic versions fitted with superior Mini Connected XL sat-nav are able to intelligently reduce fuel consumption by using information about the speeds and topography of the roads and adjusting the gear changes accordingly. Comfort: it may sound surprising for a small car with a sporty focus, but Mini Hatch comfort levels have improved significantly over its predecessor. Taking advantage of the expanded exterior dimensions, the interior is larger than before too, but only those in the front will notice any real difference. The seats are larger, lower set and more comfortable. Even the Cooper S sports items feel supportive after a long journey. The seats also offer a greater range of adjustment, slide and tilt with greater ease to allow better access to the back, and if you're prepared to spend extra, as many Mini customers do, they can be trimmed in leather and heated too. Climb into the back of the 3-door model and you'll see the previous Mini's weakness has barely been addressed. It's really only comfortable for children and adults who happen to be contortionists. That's partly due to rear headroom being marginally reduced thanks to the tapering roofline. There's a bit more space in the 5-door though, thanks to its longer wheelbase. In the 3-door model the rear seat is shaped for 2 only, with a raised bolster in the middle of the seat base and no middle seat belt, but the 5-door is a genuine if slightly cramped 5-seater. Not only is the latest Mini Hatch quieter inside, the lighter and revised suspension actually makes it a comfortable companion on longer commutes too. Forget the bounciness of previous Minis. The latest Hatch feels planted and compliant when you need it to be. Mood lighting is a feature carried over from the previous model and is complemented by the multicolored lettering around the central instrument display. Its color varies depending on a number of functions, but it can pulsate in relation to the beat of the music being played, for example. With a noticeable increase in build quality, overall refinement is improved, making the Mini a more pleasant place in which to travel. With a raft of new driving aids, the stress of driving is also reduced. Just tick the right option boxes to specify yours with adaptive cruise control and an automatic parallel parking system. Practicality. If you're considering buying a car like this because of its carrying capacity, then you've misunderstood the notion of mini hatch practicality. Naturally, the most practical choice is the 5-door model, which joined the range towards the end of 2014. It's a 5-seater. The 3-door Mini will sit 4 people only and can carry more luggage. 2. The 3-doors boot measures only 211 litres with the seats up and 731 with them folded down, while the 5-door model's extra overall length allows for 278 litres seats up and 941 seats down. The back doors are short, which makes getting in and out quite hard work, but once you're in, legroom is as good as most small cars and headroom is fine for all but the tallest of passengers. Those stubby rear doors might make accessing child seats tricky, though. Although you can fit 3 people across the rear seat bench, it's a tight squeeze. The 3-door is a small car, despite it being 98mm bigger than the outgoing hatch, and is really designed as a car for singletons and couples, rather than as an out-and-out small familiar car. While the original Mini's mantra may have been to maximize interior space for the smallest physical dimension, it isn't true of the latest car. However, it's not all bad news, as while the Mini hatch's ability to carry 4 adults in comfort remains in doubt, the extra space liberated inside is good for the car's flexibility. Even though the rear seat is only shaped for 2 in the 3-door version, it now splits 60 hours 40 minutes rather than 50 hours 15 minutes. In everyday terms, this means that it's now possible to use the Mini as a 3-seater and carry wider items than before through from the boot area, such as a pushchair. If you spec the optional movable boot floor, it can be set at 2 different heights or hinged forwards to rest against the back of the rear seats. In the 3-door, that makes for a deep thank the lack of a spare wheel but still relatively short boot. Safety. Although Mini hatch safety levels have yet to be confirmed by the expert at EuroNCAP, the company is satisfied it has done more than is required to ensure a full 5-star rating is achieved. 3 ISOFIX child seat mounting points are in the Mini, 2 on the back seat and 1 on the front passenger seat, the latter of which automatically disconnects the airbag. 6 airbags, including front, side and curtain, complement the high-strength passenger safety cell, with deformable crumple zones front and rear. There's no escaping the Mini hatch's new longer and higher nose, something necessitated by pedestrian safety regulations. LED taillights offer improved visibility, while full LED headlights and front fog lights are optionally available too. Naturally, ABS brakes are standard, which are supplemented by electronic brake force distribution to maximize stopping power in emergency situations. Traction control is standard in the optional adaptive cruise control with a collision mitigation function which will attempt to stop your Mini being involved with a frontal collision in the first place. Reliability. It's too soon to know for sure how positive new Mini hatch reliability will prove to be, but the early signs are good. The outgoing model is not known for a significant number of breakdowns, and while the mechanical packages such as engines and gearboxes are new, they're based on versions already fitted within other models in the BMW range. Significant jumps in the quality of the materials used to finish the interior mean it should remain free from rattles and squeaks well into its life. The sensation now is very much of being in a small BMW than a larger Mini.